Hey everyone, welcome to Reality TV News Update, the place where we bring you the latest updates, fun moments, and behind-the-scenes stories you won't want to miss. When all is said and done tonight on The Amazing Race Season 38, we will know which three Big Brother teams made it to the Amazing Race finale next week. The pressure was on for these teams as they traveled to Paris on The Amazing Race 2025 tonight. All of the teams wanted to be the first team to get to the pit stop and check in with host Phil Keegan. Find out who got eliminated on The Amazing Race 2025 tonight with our The Amazing Race 2025 spoilers below. Who went home on The Amazing Race? The Big Brother house guests continued their takeover of The Amazing Race tonight. These former Big Brother contestants made their way to Paris tonight on The Amazing Race Season 38 with a spot in the finale up for grabs. Which team will be eliminated tonight on The Amazing Race 2025? We made our predictions earlier, but find out below with our The Amazing Race Season 38 results. Warning, spoilers ahead. This live post will be updated throughout the episode, so do not keep reading if you do not want to read spoilers. December 3 live results, Week 11. Keep refreshing the page for the latest The Amazing Race live results updates. Final 4 teams arrive at the airport. The flights are booked, and all 4 teams have arrived at the airport. Everyone is on the same flight, so we are starting with an even slate tonight. I'll provide updates as the show airs tonight. 9:50 p.m. All of the 4 of the teams have arrived at the first challenge of the night. Dance a can-can with the dancers at the Moulin Rouge. Kylan and Taylor had some taxi and traffic issues, so they got a later start than everyone else. 10:04 p.m. Joseph and Adam were the first team at Moulin Rouge. Now all 3 of the other teams have completed the dance and moved on to the next clue. The brothers are still trying to complete the dance. 10:23 p.m. Jazz completed the roadblock, which has them using a Braille typewriter to type a poem in Braille. They have moved on to the next clue, which has them working on a Parisian scramble. Search the town to find 3 Statue of Liberty statues. At each statue, they will get a puzzle piece. Once they have all 3, they can piece them together to find out where tonight's pit stop is. Meanwhile, we have Taylor, Joseph, and Izzy working on the roadblock. 10:38 p.m. Taylor got the roadblock complete, so they are working on the Parisian scramble now. Joseph is working very slowly on the roadblock. Izzy has tried 2 checks and missed 1 letter both times. 10:49 p.m. We have both Jazz and Jag and Kylan and Taylor with all 3 of the puzzle pieces collected. They are now heading to the pit stop, but Jazz and Jag have to travel all the way back to where they started. Meanwhile, we have Joseph and Adam and Izzy and Paige both with 2 of the 3 of the puzzle pieces. Week 11 pit stop on The Amazing Race Season 38. It was a fight to the finish, but here are the results from The Amazing Race 2025 tonight. First place, Jazz and Jag, and they each won a trip to Fiji. Second place, Kylan and Taylor. Third place? And last place. Oh, they're going to make us wait tonight, huh? The episode ends with both teams in the cab trying to make their way to the pit stop. We will find out which team made it and which team was eliminated in next week's Season 38 finale. Which other team do you want in next week's finale? Izzy and Paige or Joseph and Adam? Rain hammered down as the final 4 teams of The Amazing Race 2025 pulled into Paris. Exhausted, drenched, and heart-pounded from the scramble. The historic sights blurred past through foggy taxi windows. The glowing lights of the city looked surreal under the pouring sky. It was a leg that would stretch more than just their physical limits. It would test nerves, trust, and what it means to fight for a dream when everything feels like it's slipping away. The race into Paris, stakes high. Earlier that evening, teams landed in Paris, ready for what was supposed to be the last leg before the finale. The maze of city streets, the bustle of tourists, and the constant pressure to be first had them all on edge. They had to complete a can-can dance routine at a historic cabaret, under the watchful eyes of locals and cameras, then tackle a delicate task, typing a poem on a Braille typewriter. Finally, they had to scour narrow Parisian alleyways to spot miniature Statue of Liberty replicas, a hide-and-seek challenge that turned navigation into chaos. Rumors flew off camera about the stress and toll. One contestant overheard saying in a shaky whisper, "If we mess this up, that's it." Another team, known for their chemistry and calm under pressure, looked pale and drained, shoulders slumped, eyes darting with panic whenever their taxi dropped them at another wrong turn. For the 4 remaining teams, every step felt like the tightrope between triumph and heartbreak. No elimination, but something worse happens. As the teams raced towards the pit stop, time seemed to stretch. Seconds felt like minutes, minutes like hours. By the finish, the drama was not what anyone expected, because there was no elimination this week. No team was eliminated at the end of episode 11. But just because the legs didn't end with goodbye and tears, doesn't mean the night ended cleanly. One of the racers, a member of a normally energetic, upbeat pair, collapsed shortly after crossing the mat. The frantic scramble for help, the sudden quiet on set, the racing paramedics, it felt more like a nightmare than a race. I want to call this moment the coma, Though, at least metaphorically, for everyone involved, it was the death of certainty. As cameras dropped and crew rushed in, the sense of urgency overwhelmed the usual race day.
Shocked glances, hearts pounded with fear. The cheerful applause that usually greeted pit stop arrivals was replaced by hushed voices and increasingly worried murmurs. No one knew whether this meant hospital, rest, or simply a long night under medical lights. But in that moment, no one cared about leg wins. The aftershock, what it means for the finale. With no elimination called, the field remains 4 strong. But the emotional landscape has changed. The legs ahead, presumably the final push, feel heavier. The care packages and who's winning chatter seemed hollow after such a scare. For the remaining teams, their desire to win the grand prize now lives alongside guilt, concern, second-guessing, and a strange, somber solidarity. One of them, the racer who collapsed, lies in a hospital bed, hooked to monitors, every beep echoing like a countdown. Meanwhile, the others wait outside, their bags packed, their minds racing, but their hearts uncertain. No one speaks of winning or pit stop firsts. Instead, they whisper of recovery, support, team, real value. The golden $1 million prize seems trivial compared to get them awake, get them home safe, finish this together. Who might come out of this changed? In the morning light, with hospital curtains drawn and monitors beeping, there's hope. Weak signs, a flicker of eyelid, a whispered name. If that flicker becomes movement, the race isn't just about who finishes first anymore. It's a race redefined, a test of humanity in the middle of competition. The other teams, once ruthless, calculating, focused only on speed, now face a dilemma. Keep racing hard for glory, or slow down, regroup, maybe lose a leg so they don't risk another collapse. Will the producers allow a delay? Will the finale still be on schedule, or will this season be defined not by who stood first on the mat, but who cared enough to stop the race to help a teammate in need? For the viewers at home, the cliffhanger is brutal. Scheduled, a 4-team finale. Reality? One racer in crisis, possibly delaying everything. Emotion, fear, doubt, and a readiness to reconsider what winning really means. Epilogue: life, race, and what matters. Weeks may pass, challenges may wait, but for one racer and the team still competing, life has already changed. A simple decision to keep going, a stumble, a collapse, and suddenly the race wasn't about money or trophies anymore. Maybe when, if they recover, they'll return to the race with fresh perspective. Maybe they'll ask different questions. Why are we racing? What's worth sacrificing? Were we ever just competing against each other or against ourselves? For the contestants who stay, in their minds, this season will no longer be about fastest. It will be about strongest where it counts, human beyond the glamour, support beyond the finish line. Because when one of your own falls, race, money, glory, none of that matters as much. The night air was cold at the pit stop, the lights blinding as the final 4 teams of the Amazing Race 2025 sprinted toward what could be either safety or elimination. Their clothes were soaked from rain in the streets of Paris, their hands trembling from exhaustion, and their minds shattered by pressure. Week 11 was supposed to be the calm before the storm, the last step before the finale. Instead, it became one of the most emotional nights the race had ever seen. From the first task, chaos ruled. Teams had to master a complicated French can-can routine at a historic theater. Laughter quickly turned into frustration as wrong steps sent competitors back to the start again and again. One team nearly quit the challenge entirely after repeated failures, but pride and desperation pushed them forward. Every kick, every spin became a gamble with elimination on the line. The second challenge demanded intense focus, translating a hidden message using a Braille typewriter. Time vanished as fingers blindly tapped keys, guessing, erasing, retrying. Tempers flared. One partner accused the other of not listening. Another broke down in tears when they realized they had typed the wrong sequence again. By the time teams reached the final navigation task through Paris's narrow alleyways, night had fallen. The streets twisted like a maze. Taxis got lost. Directions were misunderstood. One team passed the pit stop without even realizing it and had to double back in terror. The first team arrived with seconds to spare, collapsing onto the mat as Phil announced they were officially safe and headed to the finale. Cheers erupted, but relief quickly replaced celebration. Everyone knew what it felt like to be on the other side of that mat. The second team wasn't far behind, arriving breathless and shaking. They hugged fiercely, tears streaming, as Phil confirmed they were also safe. The third team arrived next, visibly shaken after getting lost repeatedly. They stood frozen, hands locked together, waiting for the verdict. When Phil told them they were still in the race, their knees nearly gave out. That left just one team. The final pair stumbled out of their taxi under the harsh pit stop lights. Their clothes were torn from running. Their faces were pale. They had fought hard all season, surviving on grit and stubborn hope. Tonight, that hope looked dangerously thin. Phil waited for absolute silence. "You are the last team to arrive," he said. The words hit like a punch to the chest. But then, the twist. However, this is a non-elimination leg. Shock exploded across their faces. One racer dropped to their knees, sobbing in disbelief. The other stared at the sky, laughing and crying at once. They were still in the race, still alive in the competition, still dreaming. But the night was not finished delivering its heartbreak. Moments after stepping off the mat, one of the racers suddenly collapsed. What began as relief turned into panic. Crew rushed in. Paramedics were called. The other team stood frozen, their victory forgotten as cameras shut down and sirens filled the air. The racer was rushed to the hospital with exhaustion and dehydration. Though stable, they slipped briefly into unconsciousness, sending shockwaves through everyone involved. The race stopped feeling like a game. For the first time, the $1 million prize didn't matter. In the quiet that followed, the other teams waited outside the hospital in silence. Rivals hours earlier, they were now just humans hoping one of their own would wake up. By morning, the racer gained consciousness. Weak, shaken, but alive. The relief was overwhelming. So who was eliminated on The Amazing Race 2025 tonight? No one. Week 11 ended without an official elimination, but it delivered something far more powerful. A reminder of how fragile the competitors are beneath the adrenaline, beneath the strategy, beneath the dream of winning. And now that 4 teams remain as the race barrels toward the finale, but after this night, the competition has changed. It is no longer just about speed or strength. It is about survival, loyalty, heart, and how far someone is willing to push themselves before the race pushes back. And as the sun rises over Paris, one truth is clear. The finish line is closer than ever, but so is the risk.